You know, I wouldn't normally say this, but sometimes getting gift cards is nice. If I got money for Christmas, I would have felt obligated to put it in my bank account and then not touch it because of my current financial situation. Though I am actually able to stretch my money a lot further than I initially thought, in big part thanks to my awesome patrons. Thank you guys. Though the money in my account is still slowly dwindling over time. But in getting a gift card to Target from my brother on Christmas, I was just free to spend that money on what I wanted and not what I needed. Though thinking about it now, I probably could have spent that on food, but that's boring! Anyways, now I have a Kingdom Tigatron, and a few days ago I said Kingdom Tigatron couldn't have won the Figure of the Year in the Transformers Hall of Fame because it wasn't out yet. A lot of people took issue with that, saying that they've had theirs since very late last year. And yeah, that may be true, but over Christmas, I was up and down the entire West Coast, basically from the borders of Mexico to Canada, through all of Washington, Oregon, and California, and I didn't see one of these at any store I visited. If the entire West Coast doesn't have any, then it's not released yet. I'm not saying that not being available on the West Coast is what defines being released, but if an entire side of the country doesn't have any, then the figure's not out yet. And there is no way enough people got a hold of one of these for them to have swung the vote for Tigatron to be Figure of the Year, especially considering the vote happened way before these figures started showing up in any stores at all. No, it winning was a lie Hasbro told to make it sell better. Hey, this figure we haven't released yet is actually the best one of the year. We held a secret ballot and everyone totally agrees. We aren't lying at all. No, they are. And you know how I know? Because there is no way this thing won Best Figure of the Year. Everyone on Earth could have had one of these, and this still would not win. It's nowhere near good enough. And to be clear, I'm not saying this is a bad figure at all. It's good. But last year, we had some absolute showstoppers released, and this does not live up to those. This is a good figure, but the theme of last year was fantastic figures. So the look of this thing is relatively good. It's absolutely an upgrade on the Cheetor. Not only is this bigger, but it's done better. To a point. Feet still look weird on this, but they are less weird than the Cheetor, and this actually has any heels at all, so it's much better at remaining standing than the Cheetor. The general surface sculpt is a lot better handled than the Cheetor, more reflecting the way it's supposed to look and being a lot more cohesive. The legs deserve a big mention here, looking massively better than the original mold by having the cat legs actually integrate into the shins rather than just floating in front of them. And the deco here is fantastic. I was initially worried that the dirty cat look was going to be really off-putting, but I find I don't hate it. I would have preferred it if he wasn't yellowed like he'd been peed on, but pure white instead like he's supposed to be, though I can live with these colors. But the metallic green on the face and shins is awesome. This is what I like to see. It's reflective in all the best ways, and it captures the look this minty boy had in the show, where, like most of the characters, the artists were making it clear they were robots by making them really shiny. I have a monkey brain and I like shiny things. Sue me. What doesn't work as well is the green plastic they used everywhere but those two places. For the most part, it works reasonably well, but the crotch plate looks really weak the way it is. And then you got the pearlescent white they used on his front butts. I don't know what to call these. Is also fantastic. This is not a color I'd necessarily think I'd be all about, but for some reason every time I see it, I love it. So the deco looks great. However, there are some problems with the look of this thing that really hamper my enjoyment of this guy. For starters, his torso is just not complete. When I look at this, I don't see an actual torso, I see a collection of disparate parts, huddled kind of loosely together, not imitating what they are intending to at all. And secondly, and more importantly, I hate to do this to you because I know that most of you probably don't see this. You haven't noticed it, and you are blissfully unaware of how awkward it is. So when I point this out, you won't be able to unsee it, and it will likely impact how you feel about this. So fair warning, but this thing looks kind of ridiculous to me because the shoulders are mounted way behind his head. His head should be on the same plane as these fuckers, but they're all the way back here. I cannot be the only one who thinks this looks absolutely ridiculous. Think of how much better this guy's posing would be if his arms were located in a reasonable place. It also doesn't help with said posing, as once again, like with the Cheetor, his wings really crowd his shoulders. Honestly, if these could be mounted forwards, they would actually solve a huge amount of this figure's visual issues, as they would both no longer look ridiculous themselves, but they'd also be helping to conceal how much of the torso is just made of a disembodied cat head. Really, if that were to happen, my only gripe with this thing's appearance would be the butt flap looks ridiculous. But I'll talk about that later, cause first comes the head. I want to like this more than I do. Why has his maximal symbol been converted into a big red diamond on his head? What is with this kingdom? Like half the figures in this line don't have their faction symbols, as they will either be left off entirely, or where they would have gone is pavemented over with a solid color. That's just a minor gripe though. I find the more important one is that his lips are really puffy. I swear it looks like he's blowing air into them to inflate them. His lips needed to be like 5% slimmed down to not look weird, and that would have made this face so much better, because this is otherwise near perfect. I mean, it's almost a masterpiece head sculpt. Like, obviously the back of the head is wrong, but that's so minor it's not really worth caring about. This, unlike most mainline head sculpts, has a pretty characterful expression, with the disapproving glower. I'm so close to loving this head, but it just falls short in the most tragic way possible. Then you get to his accessories, and these might honestly be this guy's worst feature. I don't know how they managed to fuck up accessories this badly. First up, his better one. He comes with the gun Cheetor should have had. It gets the pink paint it needed, but I think they should have used some of that pearlescent on the, engine. That's what this part looks like at least. For some reason, you can unpeg the barrel. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can. It has this little protrusion on the side, which I initially assumed was meant to be some kind of tab for slotting onto the figure, but it seems to be on the masterpiece as well. Looking at photos of the show, I can't see why, as it does not seem to be on the gun model, but that's a minor issue. The big problem here is that this is practically ruined by having nowhere to store in beast mode. You just peg it onto the underside and call it a day. It looks awful like this, and there's like a dozen things they could have done to not have it end up like this, but that was his good accessory. Then we get whatever the fuck this is supposed to be. Holy crap, they did not give a shit with this. Cheetor's tail weapon was bad enough, but at least it had a blade and some paint on it. This is just Tigatron's unchanged tail. It looks about as threatening as a pool noodle. If they gave a shit, instead of having the butt hinge up like it does, they'd have it come off with the tail and have that fold out into Cheetor's other gun, killing two birds with one stone. It wouldn't even be more complex than it is. Hell, it would probably be less. I don't understand why they did this. There is nowhere for this to go the way it is in robot mode. You either cast it off to the side, or you just have him wandering around with a disembodied chunk of his alt mode clasped tightly in his mitts like that soldier at the start of Saving Private Ryan. So somehow they've managed to make it that in both modes, one of his accessories is an afterthought. On the robot mode, the tail is just there, and on the beast mode, the gun is just awkwardly hanging out. It is rare that I manage to hate accessories this much. Posability on this is not really better than the Cheetor. The one advantage this has is the head, where it can look up really far if you untransform it. Shoulders pull more than a 90, but unlike the Cheetor, they get hung up on the kibble. You can fight it past, but it sucks to use. His butterfly joints don't really work, not gaining him anything at all, unlike the Cheetor. Maximum elbows. Wrist swiv, like Cheetor. Legs have a problem kicking forward, just like the Cheetor. Hip skirt barely extends for no reason, getting you no extra range, like Cheetor. Legs get out to the side better than 90, and back almost 90. Knees bend like 89 degrees, just like the Cheetor. And the feet have toe up, down, and pivot. Yeah, this thing poses near identically to the Deluxe it's an upscaled retool of. It's really depressing that they couldn't cram a little more in here. Not even one more joint. The only place this has an edge in is the elbows, a place where the Cheetor was already doing really well in. And again, I want to be clear here. I know I'm getting harsh on this. This is a fine figure. It's not bad. But I'm angry at Hasbro for daring to lie to us that this was Figure of the Year. Transformation on this is more a side grade on the Cheetor than any kind of actual improvements. There are some things I like more about this than that thing, but I absolutely hate getting his flank pieces past his shoulder kibble. They hang up on each other, you have to flex them past one another, feels bad, like it's going to snap. That part really sucks. But then just about everything else is just the Cheetor again, with a little more polish. And you end up with this.
Here comes the
boy! Hello, boy! Welcome! Here he comes! There he is! Here comes the boy! Welcome! There he goes! Here he comes! There he is!
That is hands down the best thing you can do with this figure. In Tiger mode, if you throw this crap off to the side, this looks even better than the Cheetor, which is impressive because that thing already looked great. The worst thing about this guy is the neck bolts on this one side, and the fact that it looks like he's wearing 80s neon kitty leg warmers from behind. Annoyingly, one of his arms really likes to pop off on me, but it's easy enough to get back into place. For the most part, the posability on this is exactly the same as the mold he's retooled from, but with an extra hinge at the front paws, plus a little more backwards range on the front legs that he probably shouldn't have. And the fact that you can use the transformation hinges at the neck to fake a tilt at the head. So like the Cheetor, this is a great cat mode. And like the Cheetor is kind of the key expression with this guy. Is it an upgrade on the Cheetor? Yes. Is it a huge upgrade? No. It's bigger, but the deco is just about as good, probably skewing in this thing's favor, but not by a lot. Some of the parts are handled better like the shims, and it poses a trivial amount better in both modes, with the beast mode being slightly more cohesive. So in every category, it's a couple % nicer. But outside this thing being larger, I don't really see what they did here as something that would cost them more to do than before, and be worth more to the consumer. Like most of what makes this better is a sculpt with a little more thought put into it, and a connecting bar at the elbows, so it really shouldn't cost more to do all the changes they made. It almost makes me wonder if the whole reason there was that yellowing paint on the edges of the beast mode is because Hasbro felt like without it, there was just no way they could claim that they put enough effort in to charge Voyager price for this. Again, I want to stress that this is a good figure. I may have talked smack on it all video long, but this is at least marginally better than the Cheetor in every way. But this is just not Figure of the Year material. There is no way this could have won. It's not even the best Voyager of the Year. Even the deluxe figures are giving this a run for its money. Hell, I actually even recommend this thing. I doubt you'll be blown away by it, but I think it will satisfy you if you get it. It is good, but it just sticks in my craw so hard that Hasbro blatantly abused the Hall of Fame to drum up buzz for a figure they hadn't released yet. It was not available to anyone who didn't steal the figure from the factory, and even if it was, there is no way this got the votes it needed to take the top spot. It's just not amazing enough for that. Man, it's been a long time since I did a conspiracy video. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know you know what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.